Hi there, business owner, and welcome to the 3Bs podcast, the place where we go beyond the numbers and dive into strategies to help you build a better business one step at a time. I'm your host, Stephanie, a multi-award-winning entrepreneur with over a decade of experience in the bookkeeping and accountancy world. If you're a business owner looking to streamline, grow, and get back the time that you deserve, you're in the right place. We're tackling real-world problems, answering tough questions, and digging deep into business-building secrets in just 15 minutes each week. So are you ready to build a better business with confidence and clarity? Then let's go. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the 3Bs podcast, your go-to place for 15 minutes of motivation, education and inspiration each week. As always, I'm your host Stephanie, and this week's episode is the beginning of sort of a 5-part series, and it's something that I'm really excited to share with you. And I'm not the best at keeping quiet when I've got exciting news. I am not one of these people that sits well with the you can't say anything just yet. I do it, and I'm very good, and confidentiality naturally is a part of what we do here, dealing with people's finances. But when it's news about me and it's something exciting that I've done or that I'm going to do, I really want to tell you as my audience. Back in May, I did a talk at Accountex, which was my first solo speaking engagement on stage. Accountex is bookkeeping and accountancy industry's biggest event. I think there was 16,000 footfall over the 2 days, 12,000 people there on day one alone. And for an introvert, that is a very big deal. Now, it might be a surprise to you that I am an introvert. I am introverted, and anxiety is an everyday part of my life, not just as a business owner, but as a person too. And I really wanted to show people that it doesn't have to hold you back if you learn to build your business in the right way. So I did a talk called From Introvert to Influencer, The Honest Truth Behind Success. As you all know, as listeners or watchers of the 3Bs podcast, everything I do comes with transparency. The honesty is really important to me, the highs, the lows, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I wanted to share that with my industry too. And the reception that I've had and the people queuing to talk to me afterwards was incredibly overwhelming. I didn't realise just how hard it had hit home and resonated with some of the audience. So I feel like I'd be doing you a disservice if I wasn't talking to all of you as well, and not just fellow bookkeepers in the industry, although I do know they're probably listening and watching this too. So if you've already seen my talk at Accountex, there will be some more things in here for you too, so don't switch off. What I'm so excited about is that not only have I brought all the information that I learned and that I gave recently in my talk at Accountex, I have built a quiz to help you find what type of introvert that you are. And the reason that's really important to me is because if you don't know, there's actually 4 different types of introverts, and an introvert and an extrovert, as you may have stereotypically learnt about them, there's so much more to it than that. And I genuinely, using what type of introvert I am has really helped me move the needle on my business, because I am not building my business in the way that the gurus on social media are telling me to. I'm building my business in a way that works for me and works with my introvert type and not against me. If you want to find out what type of introvert you are, the link is in the show notes. It will be all over social media as well. Take the quiz, 7 questions, really quick and easy, multiple choice, and then I will send you a personalized strategy document. So I'll tell you what type of introvert you most likely are, and then I'll send you personalized strategies that you can start to implement in your business as business owners to help you build a better business in your way. I am super excited for you to take this quiz. I'm really interested in your results too. So do drop me a message on social media or send us an email and let me know what type of introvert you are. Right, let's get into it. Introverts are not a one-size-fits-all thing. We're not cookie cutter here. There's 4 different types of introverts, and it's not just about being shy or quiet. Some of the people that you think are extroverts are probably one of the 4 types of introverts. And in all honesty, although there's 4 distinct types, you may find that actually you resonate with parts of 2 or 3 of them, but the one that you resonate with most, use those strategies so that they start to fit in with you and help you to build a business that plays to your strength. Introversion is about how you process energy. It's how you think, how you reflect, how you show up in the world, and most importantly, how you recover from the noise of running a business. Most people tend to treat all introverts the same and think that they're people that just don't want to go out and don't want to talk to people, and they're shy and they're quiet and reserved. And that's just not the case. So this episode, I'm going to go through the 4 different types of introverts, and then the next 4 episodes will be a breakdown on each of the 4 types in more detail, as well as strategies to help you play to your strengths if that's your type of introvert. Should we get going? First things first, the social introvert. This is what I feel is the stereotypical introvert, the person that wants to be in small groups or on their own. And they're not antisocial, despite what people may say about them. They prefer the deep conversations, meaningful connections over those big flashy networking events. You can be social, but you need time to recharge after. Social introversion can take a lot out of your battery. And if you're a business owner and you don't like being in big groups of people, then you need to learn to build your business in a way that works for you, whether that's looking for solo opportunities. If you're a service provider, those one-to-one settings rather than one-to-many are going to really suit you as a social introvert. You're likely going to be great at building client relationships, creating those loyal communities, and doing deep work. You're not going to want to be in Accountex with 12,000 people. But I'm proof that you can do it. What I find with the big events or going out and meeting a lot of people at once is that I need the day after to recharge. And by recharge, I don't mean turning everything off and staying in bed all day. I mean doing things, still working on the business, but doing those things in the back end that don't require me to be so show ready, so putting that face on. I tend to use those days to make sure that all the filing is done, to make sure that my emails are kept on top of. But even some days the emails are just too people-y for me. So I will build things like this quiz, and I will look at things that I can do, write blog posts. I will do the things that don't require me to actually connect with other people in that day. And as business owners, I think we often feel like we have to be live all the time on social media, and we need to be out there and we need to be going to all these business events and connecting with all these people, when sometimes that one-on-one conversation and that sales call, particularly if you are a service provider or a product provider in a high-ticket environment, so things that you're selling that are like over £1,000, those one-to-one conversations are what are going to convert anyway, not the multiple conversations, 20 at once, not as deep conversations. So that's worth noting if you are a social introvert. Secondly is the thinking introvert. So thinking introverts are often seen as withdrawn or extra thoughtful, or they're people that live in their head. They're people who just love ideas, reflection, and going deep on concepts. You're somebody who will have 10 business ideas in the notes on your phone, but before you do anything, you're going to go and research every single one down to the most minute detail. And if you're a thinking introvert, it's a benefit to you in business because you're strategic, you're thoughtful, and you're future focused. But the flip side of that is that you're likely to overthink yourself into actually inaction. Analysis paralysis is something that we see banded around on social media quite a lot, and that's really relevant if you're a thinking introvert. Overthinking so much that you actually don't do anything is quite common, and in order to move the needle forward in your business, start thinking about putting structure and support into your business. As I said at the beginning, you might see little parts of yourself in one or more of these introversion types, and I'm not a thinking introvert to the point that I spend ages planning something before I do it. I'm definitely one of those that if I have an idea and it hits right, then I immediately take action with it. But what I do have is, without structure, can kind of feel a little bit lost. So if I don't have an immediate deadline for anything, in the bookkeeping accountancy practice, payroll is done at the end of each month for our monthly payroll. So up until the 20th of every month, there's no payroll to be done. VAT has to be done by the 7th. So between the 7th and the 20th, other than client meetings and things that are in the diary, I have no real big deadlines for anything, and I work so well with a deadline. What I've started doing is putting blocks into my diary like I would a meeting, like I would a task deadline, to eat. I am the worst person in the world for not having lunch, and it's definitely something I'm working on, and awareness is half of the battle, I know. Putting little gaps in your diary to do those things, if you're a thinking introvert, will really help you, because having structure and support and accountability will help you massively as a thinking introvert to stop that analysis paralysis and help you move forward and actually take action. The third type of introvert is the anxious introvert. So these are kind of like a social introvert in that they are often seen as a stereotypical introvert. They don't really like to be out with people. They're not very social. They're hyper aware of how they show up. They're overthinking all the time. should I have said that? Should I have said that? Worrying about what people think, replaying conversations in your head long after they've gone. And the key with an anxious introvert is they're the ones that even when you're alone, once the day is done and you're not with people anymore and you are alone, you're still worrying about things you've said. You're still worrying and replaying those conversations and worrying what people have thought about you. In business, being an anxious introvert is not a bad thing. Because you are hyper aware, you are so detail orientated, you are prepared and you are cautious. So risk management is great if you're an anxious introvert, because you won't just go all guns blazing into something without thinking it through. But also being cautious and having to be prepared before you do anything can slow you down. And just like with a thinking introvert, systems, when they're clear and processes are there and you feel safe to take those steps, is where you're going to thrive as a business owner. What I would say for anxious introverts is to find your tribe, whatever your tribe looks like. You need 1 or 2 people in your corner. It helps when they're fellow business owners, because as wonderful as your mum, your partner, your kids are, they're going to tell you what they think you want to hear to a degree. So finding fellow business owners that understand the roller coaster, that have been where you are or are going through what you are, can actually help you to feel more safe and less anxious and make movements in your business whilst helping them move forward in theirs. And finally, the restrained introvert. Now, this one is my fiance tied up in a bow. Restrained introverts are people who are not morning people, is the best way I can describe it. But it's not just that they don't like getting up in the morning. Everything that a restrained introvert does is slowly and deliberately. They need time to warm up to things. They need time to get going, whether that's a conversation, a new routine, implementing a new idea. Everything just takes that little bit longer to warm up. But once you get going, you are absolutely unstoppable. You're a bit like a snowball. You're methodical, you're going to be consistent and brilliant at long-term planning, which is great for those business owners who are creating content, for those who have a business like we have at ABCS UK in a practice, where being methodical and having those procedures that you follow time and time again is the key to success. And long-term planning is wonderful, and a lot of business owners forget to look at the long term rather than a big number at the end and that's it. The downside to restrained introverts is that they hate being rushed. So when they are able to set their own pace and they don't feel pressured and don't have those deadlines to keep up with loud or fast moving trends, is where they really excel. Because they hate being rushed, creating content that is evergreen, that can be reused and repurposed is a really key thing for restrained introverts, because they don't want to do the latest trend, because by the time they've thought it through, they've planned it out, they've created the content, the trend's gone and they're not gaining the benefit from any traction that a fast-moving trend, for example, a viral TikTok or something, would gather. So that is the 4 different types of introverts, and I hope it's been really useful for you. And a couple of them you're going, that might be me. Oh no, that might be me. It was when I was learning about it, that was how I was. I was like, no, I'm a social introvert. No, I'm not. I'm an anxious introvert. No, I'm not. I'm a thinking introvert. And I can kind of see parts of me in all 4, but there's definitely 1 or 2 that I lean further towards than others. And the strategies that I have learned and built and practical tips for those particular types have been a bit of trial and error, but I've got what's working for me, and the needle is starting to finally move forward on my business. So if you want to know what type you are, the quiz is now live. The link is in the show notes. It will only take you a couple of minutes. You'll get your result, a full breakdown of what that means, and some practical tips and strategies to help you start working with your type and not against it. I am so excited to share this with you, and I really hope you're going to get some great value from it. You can go onto social media or look in the show notes, like I said. Do give me feedback. I'd love to know what works for you. If you did find this episode useful, or you find the podcast useful in general, if I could ask a favour and you could just give a 5-star review on any of the podcast apps that you're listening on, or if you could subscribe on YouTube and hit that notification bell so that you know when the next episode goes live, it really helps me to push this podcast out to more business owners so we can all build better business. And the 4 types of introverts just aren't talked about enough online, and business owners are struggling when they don't need to, if they could just understand the way that they work and how they can use that to their advantage in their business. So I hope this resonated with you. I hope you go and take the quiz. Do let me know what you think of it. I would love to hear from you. And over the next 4 episodes, I'll be diving into each introvert type into more detail and more strategies to help you shape your business and build it in a way that fits how you naturally operate. So whatever type you are, especially if you resonate with more than one, we've got you covered at the 3Bs podcast. I will see you next week for the next episode. Bye. And that brings us to the end of another episode of the 3Bs podcast. I hope you found it useful and that you're walking away with some motivation, inspiration, or education to help you build a better business. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and of course connect with us on social media for more insights, tips, and behind the scenes content. Your next step in building a better business is just a click away. I can't wait to connect with you, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.